Alrighty, so in this video we're going to start talking about slopes. So first we're going to just look at classifying a slope. You know, is it negative, is it positive, is it zero, is it undefined? These are all ways to classify a slope. And then we're going to look at how to calculate a slope. So one of my favorite ways to remember classifying slope is to use Mr. Slope Guy or Slope Man. I've heard of both ways there, you know, it just depends on what you call him. Could be Slope Person if we don't like, you know, the guy or anything like that. So we're just going to draw a face. So just draw an oval like this. And then we're going to add some features to this person. Okay, so we're going to add an eyebrow, and I like to make it so that it's got a little arrow on it so we can see that this is a line that would be going up from left to right. So we're always reading from left to right whenever we're looking at these things. And his eye on this one is going to be a plus sign. So this represents a positive slope. So positive slope, and I'm actually going to change, oh darn it, I have to undo that. I want to take the arrow away. So positive, that was just kind of going to this positive slope here like this. So I didn't want it to be another arrow. Positive slope. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to give him another eyebrow, but this eyebrow is going down from left to right, so it's a negative. So his eye is a negative underneath there. So this is a negative slope. All right, and now we have a nose that we need to draw, and the nose we're going to draw is a line that goes straight down, and his little nose is kind of a U on the end here, like that. I'm not very good at drawing U's right now. There we go. So what this represents, the U represents undefined, so undefined slope. So that means it's a line going straight up and down is undefined. It doesn't have a slope that we can actually define. All right, and the very last feature we need to add is his mouth, and he's not really happy, so he's got kind of a flat mouth here, and he's got two O's for little dimples, and the O's actually represent zeros because this represents a zero slope. So here's our Mr. Slope Guy or Slope Person, and he represents he shows you all the different types of slopes. So he has a positive eyebrow here, a negative eyebrow, an undefined nose, and a zero slope mouth. All right, so now we're just going to go through and we're going to identify, we're going to classify each one. So I can see this is going down from left to right. So going down, even slightly going down, that would be negative. So it doesn't have to be going down quite as steep as our eyebrow was. It just needs to be going down. So this one is not going down or up. It's just flat, kind of like his mouth. So this is a zero slope. This one is going up from left to right, because remember, we're always reading from left to right, so you always read in this direction. So what is it doing from here to here? Is it going down? Is it going up? Is it flat? Or is it straight up and down? So this one is going up from left to right, so it is positive. And then this one is straight up and down. There is no right or left. There is no up or down. So this one would represent his nose, which was undefined. And we'll actually look a little bit more at why that's undefined and why this is zero when we get into the calculations here. So that'll be in future videos where we get into kind of the why are they undefined and zero. Right now, these are just the words that go kind of behind the classifications. All right, so now we're going to look at the calculation of it. So the slope of a line measures the steepness. We can use the basic idea of rise, should be a line there, I don't know why the line disappeared, rise over run. So if you have not heard rise over run, here's your first big reminder of it. We should have heard of it quite a few times by now because it's a very simple way for us to remember how to calculate slope. Figure out how far up do we go, up or down, and then how far right or left do we go. So rise represents up and down, run represents right and left. And the actual calculation looks like this. So really what we're doing when I say how far up or down did I go is I'm kind of subtracting the two coordinates from each other. So I'm figuring out if this one is 2 for the y, so this is 2, and this one is -3, well, I want to know how many points are between them. So I'd go 2 minus -3, because the minus is part of there. Anytime I hear minus negative, that turns into a plus. So really there's 5 spaces between them. And then for the x's, that's the run. I'm doing the same thing. I want to know how many spaces are between the 2 points. Now I'm going to go right and left. So now I'm starting at -2. And I'm going, let's see, what is this? To 2. So I have -2. So I'm going to go -2 minus 2. So I started with -2 and I'm going 2 more negative. This is not the minus negative situation. I don't see this actually happening. And now I'm just having 2 negative integers and I'm going to combine them. So it's 5 over -4. And we can see it's a negative slope, so we should have a negative on here. So we can also count this if we have a graph. So if they give us a graph like they have, we can literally count. And I can say, how far down did I go? I went -5 down. And then how far to the right did I go? I went +4 to the right. So with this one, I end up with a rise and a run. And it's not going to matter. This is the same as 5 over -4. These are actually the exact same fraction. I just took the negative and moved it to the bottom. That's perfectly fine. And one thing that Alex is actually going to expect you to do is move that negative to the middle like this, so that it's not on the top or the bottom, it's kind of in the middle here. But it can be given to either one. It doesn't matter which one you give it to as long as you only give it to one of the numbers. So, all right, so this was the beginnings of slope, where we classified and we talked about calculating it and looking at a graph. So go ahead and go on, Alex, and give that a try.